During our Christmas dinner, Emily blurted out something that froze the entire room. "I didn't want you finding out like this, but I'm in love with your brother." The words hit me like a brick. I just took a slow sip of my wine and said, "Thanks for telling me." That's when the look of utter shock on her face finally registered. She didn't understand. I had known for months. Found the texts, the hotel receipts, every single breadcrumb of her secret. I'd been waiting for this exact moment, planning my next move carefully, and now the stage was set. Everyone was there, my parents, my brother Nathan and his wife Lisa, aunts, uncles, cousins, our entire family packed around the long dining table. The turkey glistened under the warm chandelier light, mashed potatoes steaming in a ceramic bowl, the cranberry sauce glistening red like a warning sign. Emily placed her fork down with a loud clunk, and the room went silent. You could feel the tension like static in the air. I needed to say something before the awkwardness metastasized into chaos. "I didn't want you finding out like this," she said again, almost pleading, "but I'm in love with someone else. I love Nathan." That silence wasn't just awkward, it was as if someone had muted the world. Nathan's face turned green. Lisa's jaw literally dropped, her fork frozen in midair. Mom gasped, clutching her napkin to her chest, and Dad looked like someone had punched him square in the gut. I smiled faintly. "Thanks for telling me," I repeated. "Appreciate the honesty." "Little late, though." Emily blinked. What do you mean?" I said, leaning back casually, "I've known for a while. Found all your little adventures, texts, receipts, the hotel stays. I've been handling things quietly, letting you feel clever, thinking you could hide your affair." The silence turned into a tense gaze from everyone else. Suddenly, all eyes were on me. Nathan found his voice first, stammering, "Why you knew?" "Yeah," I said evenly. "Gave me time to prepare. Handle things properly." I reached under my chair and pulled out a thick folder I had tucked there earlier. The leather-bound edges felt heavy in my hands as I slid it across the table toward Nathan. "I'm buying you out of the family business. Full valuations in here, 3 independent appraisals. Partnership agreement rules are clear, accept the offer, or we go to forced sale." The folder bumped Nathan's wine glass. He froze. Lisa's eyes went wide. Mom started quietly sobbing, trying to hide it behind her hands. Dad's face turned a shade of disbelief that only comes from realizing your entire family has just erupted into betrayal. I looked directly at Emily. "I filed for divorce. You were served last week." Her mouth fell open. "Remember that woman at your yoga class who seemed curious about the studio process server?" I added casually. "Sorry about that. She did her job well." Emily's face went through a series of expressions: disbelief, shock, panic, and finally anger. You filed for divorce?" "Yes," I said calmly. "And the marriage counselor we've been seeing? My lawyer recommended her. She documented every session where you swore you wanted to work things out, while actively seeing my brother behind my back. The state considers that relevant." Nathan grabbed the folder and began flipping through it. Pages of financial statements, invoices, receipts, and valuations stared back at him like cold evidence. This valuation is garbage. Way too low." "Nope," I said. "Market rate for a small construction company with aging equipment and inconsistent revenue." 3 different valuators came to the same number independently. "You can challenge it, but the agreement is clear: you buy me out, I buy you out, or forced sale. Your call." The room went quieter than before. Lisa jumped up, chair tipping backward. "You, what? Babe, you've been sleeping with my husband while spending company money?" "Yes," I said softly, "technically both our money. Around $8,000 traced to hotel stays, dinners, 1 weekend trip." Not a job site visit. Mom began crying more openly, Dad looked stricken, Emily clutched my arm, pleading. We can fix this. I'll end it. We'll do counseling. You've been to 6 sessions lying to the therapist while actively seeing him, I said. All documented. I'm good. And as for the business, fair market value is non-negotiable. You can't afford to buy me out, and neither can Nathan. The air was thick with tension, disbelief, and the sort of cold justice that comes from years of careful planning. They had orchestrated months of lies, manipulation, and betrayal, thinking they could get away with it. I had only acted in response, methodically, legally, without emotional outbursts. They expected chaos, confrontation, guilt, and punishment. They got facts, evidence, and consequences. And that Christmas, our family dinner turned into an unveiling of every choice, every betrayal, every lie. The room was silent, but the weight of truth had begun its work. I rose from my chair, shoulders straight, heart pounding but controlled. Merry Christmas, everyone. Enjoy your meal. And I walked out to my truck, hands shaking slightly, a grin forming despite the mess around me. It was only the beginning. Later that night, my phone blew up. Nathan was calling repeatedly, screaming about fraud, theft, and rigged valuations. I didn't answer. I had already prepared for this. The partnership agreement had been drafted by my father's attorney years ago to prevent exactly this kind of drama. He had 2 options, accept the buyout at fair market value or face a forced sale. And he didn't have the cash. I had already secured a loan for the full amount. Let him scream. Let him vent. The facts were on my side. Emily tried showing up at my house the next morning. Predictable. I had changed the locks the night before. Through the Ring doorbell, I watched as confusion first settled on her face, then anger, and finally panic. She banged on the door and screamed, "Open this door now." I hit the intercom. House is in my name. Your belongings are in storage. You can discuss your rights with your lawyer. You're trespassing if you stay. Her expression shifted instantly from fury to tears. Victim mode. It was a performance, and I had seen it before. 2 cops arrived shortly after I called the non-emergency line, calm but alert. I explained the situation. "Ma'am," one of them said, "this isn't your property. You need to leave." I gestured vaguely to Nathan's truck parked a block away. She had options, but none of them included staying here. After the cops left, I began clearing the noise from my life. Friends, relatives, anyone supporting her choice to cheat and lie, blocked. Done. My parents called. Mom was still crying, Dad exhausted. Nathan tried negotiating on the business, but the answer was firm, 3 independent valuations. That's the number. Accepted or forced sale. Period. He tried one more tactic, showing up at a job site where I was meeting a contractor. I told him, "Not here. You want to discuss business? The options are still the same. Accept the buyout, or we go to market. Your choice." He stepped closer, voice low and urgent. "You're really going to destroy this family over her? Over us?" "Over you and your choices," I corrected. "You slept with my wife. You stole from our company. That's criminal if I want to pursue it. I'm just cleaning up the mess, Nathan. Nothing more." The contractor wisely stepped back, hands raised slightly, sensing the tension. Finally, after weeks of stalling, threats, and lawyer games, Nathan accepted the buyout. No theatrics. No bargaining. His lawyer warned him he would lose in court. Signatures exchanged, check handed over. The business was mine. My life, reclaimed. Nathan walked away with enough to survive but not enough to compete. Emily's divorce was harsher. Courts don't favor cheaters, and I had everything documented: receipts, timeline, counseling notes, proof of deception. Her claims for alimony, business interest, or house were dismissed. She left with her personal belongings, car, and retirement account, nothing more. During the proceedings, I maintained my composure. Emotional outbursts were tempting, but unnecessary. Facts spoke louder than screaming or blaming. The judge made it clear, she had acted in bad faith, and my documentation was thorough. Each lie, each deceitful action, was catalogued and undeniable. They thought they could manipulate the narrative, but the truth has a weight that deception cannot withstand. Friends and family started to realize the full picture. Mutual acquaintances who knew both sides quietly confirmed what really happened. Emily's victim narrative fell apart quickly. Claims of emotional abuse, gaslighting, financial control, it all crumbled under the scrutiny of evidence. My lawyer submitted every relevant document. Every text, every receipt, every statement from the counselor. Everything meticulously recorded. Every single lie exposed. Nathan attempted another maneuver, visiting my parents and trying to convince them to mediate. Dad listened patiently, then looked at me. I shrugged. Let him speak. I stayed silent while the conversation unfolded. His arguments about family loyalty and forgiveness fell flat. Dad's gaze was steady, knowing where the truth lay. Loyalty doesn't mean covering for betrayal. As the dust settled, I began repairing the business. Nathan had been the source of chronic delays, sloppy work, and broken promises. I hired a former military project manager to instill discipline. Equipment upgraded, workflow improved, clients satisfied. Revenue rose. Stability returned. Meanwhile, Emily tried to rebuild her life in retail. Nathan moved out of state for a fresh start elsewhere. Mutual connections informed me of their struggles. Small apartments, job instability, the predictable fallout of choices made without integrity. The hardest part wasn't reclaiming the business or property. It was rebuilding trust in my own judgment. I had ignored early signs, believed lies, and given undeserved chances. That process took months, sometimes days, feeling like stepping on glass, questioning myself, doubting my instincts. But slowly, the haze lifted. Boundaries re-established, instincts sharpened, decisions firm. No tolerance for deceit. No room for manipulation. Through all this, I learned that consequences are unavoidable. Betrayal, theft, and lies carry weight. Actions always have outcomes, whether immediate or delayed. The emotional chaos my family expected never came. I didn't yell, I didn't plead. I responded with clarity, calm, and preparation. My ex-wife wanted drama, Nathan wanted chaos. They got law, documentation, and consequences. Cold, undeniable, final. By the time Christmas rolled around the next year, my parents asked about gathering everyone. I declined. Some wounds aren't healed by forced proximity. Dad understood. Mom still hoped, but respected my boundaries. The business flourished. Life, slower, steadier, mine. My ex-wife's social media posts about growth and second chances didn't reach me. Her words, meaningless now. Nathan told people we had a business falling out. Easier than admitting the truth. Whatever helps him sleep. The first year after the Christmas reveal was painful, messy, exhausting, but necessary. Every choice I made was deliberate. Every action measured. No revenge for revenge's sake, only justice for betrayal. I survived the storm. And in surviving, I reclaimed my life. It's been over a year since that fateful Christmas dinner. The business is thriving more than ever. We expanded into commercial projects, hired new staff, and upgraded our equipment. Without Nathan undermining operations, deadlines are met, promises kept, and clients satisfied. The chaos he introduced is gone, replaced by a structured, accountable system. Every day, I remind myself how much smoother life is when you remove those who thrive on manipulation and deception. Emily resurfaced briefly. She called a few times on a number I hadn't blocked yet, asking to talk things through, claiming she had realized her mistakes. I didn't respond. She doesn't understand that sorry doesn't erase months of lies, betrayals, and manipulation. The timeline, the receipts, the counseling documentation, it all shows exactly who made the choices and who suffered the consequences. She wanted closure, perhaps redemption, but there's nothing left for her in my story. She created this narrative, she lives in its aftermath. Nathan moved to another state, started working for a competitor, and occasionally reaches out to mutual acquaintances. He wants to keep up appearances, painting the buyout as a business dispute. I let him. He has his version, I have mine, and neither intersects anymore. His wife filed for divorce as well. The courts weren't sympathetic to anyone lying, cheating, and stealing. They were left with the bitter taste of the fallout their choices created. Family dynamics shifted irreversibly. Mom tried to mediate, but she eventually sided quietly with Dad and me. Some extended relatives chose sides. An aunt who had always favored Nathan stopped talking to me entirely. That didn't matter. People who choose betrayal over integrity aren't people you need in your life. Family isn't about loyalty to someone who lies, cheats, and steals, it's about shared values, trust, and accountability. Rebuilding my own life was the hardest, and most important, step. Trusting myself again after being deceived by both my spouse and my brother took months of careful reflection. I had to relearn my instincts, establish firm boundaries, and accept that not everyone deserves forgiveness or access to my life. That Christmas dinner, which ended one chapter in chaos, started another chapter of measured, deliberate living. I learned to trust my gut, to act decisively, and to prioritize my own integrity above appearances or forced peace. I started dating again, slowly. Someone who understands boundaries, respects honesty, and values the small but important things in life. It's a different pace now, no rushed decisions, no half-truths, no games. The past is behind me, documented, analyzed, and closed. Emily and Nathan's attempts at reconciliation or manipulation no longer reach me. They live with their consequences, I live with mine. And mine have led somewhere better. The hardest lessons weren't about the affair itself, but the layers surrounding it, the lying, the planning, the audacity to think they could deceive me without repercussion. That's what cuts deepest. Not that she wanted someone else, people fall out of love, but the sneaking, the gaslighting, the theft of time, money, and trust, all deliberate choices, not mistakes. Character is revealed in actions, and there's failed under scrutiny. I watched the fallout from a distance, documenting silently. Friends and mutual acquaintances who knew the truth supported me quietly, often sending messages of understanding and disbelief at what I had endured. Emily posted about growth and second chances on social media. Nathan told a few people we had a business dispute. Both trying to rewrite the story. It doesn't matter. The truth is in the records, in the court filings, in the accounts, in the choices they made and the consequences they now live with. Rebuilding trust in my own judgment remains ongoing. Each new decision, each business choice, each personal interaction is measured against what I learned from this experience. I've grown stricter about boundaries, more attentive to red flags, and more deliberate in my relationships. I don't carry bitterness, only clarity. Their absence is not a loss, it's a safeguard. I protect my life, my work, my heart. That Christmas dinner ended one life and started another. The chaos, the betrayal, the heartbreak were all catalysts, forcing decisive action and clarity. No melodrama, no emotional blackmail, only calculated, justified responses. In this new chapter, I am calm, independent, and unbound. Emily and Nathan are outside this story now. Their actions dictated their exile, mine dictated my resurgence. I've learned that when something feels wrong, you don't wait for permission to act. Protect yourself, establish your boundaries, and let facts, not emotion, guide your decisions. Some people will expect you to be the villain, the overreacting, controlling one. Don't play their game. Present the facts, act deliberately, and let the consequences unfold. That's how real justice works. The house is mine, the business is mine, and my life is mine. Holiday gatherings are quieter, simpler, but more peaceful. The scars of betrayal are there, but they are reminders of resilience, vigilance, and self-respect. Forgiveness is not required, boundaries are. Choices have consequences, and the ones I made led to a life that is steadier, safer, and worth living. I no longer wonder, what if? I only consider what will be. Past decisions shaped the present, but I navigate the future with clarity and calm. Christmas dinners now are about warmth and peace, not deception and confrontation. The storm passed. The aftermath is clear. The story is mine to live, and I live it with eyes wide open, lessons learned, and trust firmly restored in myself.